I am 10 years old. I'm 121 months. I like watching Thomas the Tank Engine and SpongeBob SquarePants. I don't like seeing people I know eating peas.
Why don't you like eating peas, Harrison?
They might jump off the plane.
Oh, and how would that make you feel?
Angry. Stop it! Nothing like that again! I've had enough of you!
What's the matter, Harrison?
It won't do it! I don't want that to happen! The filtration system. It cleans the dirt.
Okay.
It cleans your carpets. And then sucks it up through the hose, so that's 2. Goes in there. Goes down to that filter. And then puts the pet hair and all the dander in the HEPA filter, which is here.
So why do you like Hoover so much?
Hoover as in the brand or?
The brand.
They clean your carpet really well.
All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need.
I reckon everyone's got some autism and disability. Because I think everyone's got something wrong with them. Even if they don't admit it. Well, most people are alright when I tell them I've got it, but some people don't know what it is.
Autism is a lifelong developmental condition that affects how a person communicates with and relates to other people and the world around them.
After my own son was diagnosed, part of my own coping mechanism, I guess, was to set up the Enfield branch of the National Autistic Society. And at that stage we had 2 aims. One was to support parents in the same situation as ourselves, and the other one was to try and improve the level and quality of services locally for autistic people.
Not all children are diagnosed at the same age, and some may be adults before gaining a diagnosis. Whatever age a person may be, the effects on their family can be profound.
It was fine in the first couple of years of life. I remember it was at his sister's school. We went for a fireworks night, and he was in his pushchair. He was just about to fall asleep. He was, 2.5 years of age then? And just as he was falling asleep, the fireworks went off, and he started crying. He jerked awake, and I took him into the school to sort of comfort him, and I picked him up out of his pushchair, held him up. In the dark classroom, he was throwing his back, arching his back, screaming. As I held him up and the fireworks were going on outside, it hit me like a lightning bolt that, there's something not right.
When Lewis was diagnosed, obviously I went in to the meeting with the paediatrician with an inkling it could go one way or another. So I was a little bit prepared if it was, that he was going to be diagnosed.
First of all, we went to see the ear specialist because our daughter had glue ear and we thought maybe he just can't hear. But when they did the hearing test, they found that his hearing was normal. So then they said, we think there might be something else. So then we went to see the paediatrician, and he just took one look at him and said he's got PDD-NOS and handed me a leaflet.
It's a pervasive development disorder not otherwise specified.
So then I was shocked because the only time I came across autism was the Rain Man. And I thought, oh God, he's Aaron, like he's going to be like the Rain Man.
Autism is a spectrum condition, which means while all people with autism share certain areas of difficulty, their condition will affect them in hugely different ways.
It was very difficult when we were first given the diagnosis, sitting in the room. We sort of really, both of us didn't really know what to expect. I try to always look on the positive side of things, With the diagnosis, he was so young, so therefore, like everything, the earlier the better. So you can get the help at such a young age. But no, I'd say it was definitely tougher on my wife.
I think it hit me quite hard, actually. Yeah.
When your child is diagnosed, because autism is a spectrum, you have no idea how your child will develop. So when my son was diagnosed, he didn't talk. Now he does, but at that point I had no idea if he would ever talk. I had no idea whether he'd ever be able to live independently. No idea whether he'd be able to go to the local school, whether he'd need a special school.
After the diagnosis, anyway, the first port of call was the clinical psychologist, Joe she's based in Cedars. She spoke to kind of few parents, where 3 parents that came to meeting, like 3 or 4 sections like that, and was really kind of helpful. It gave us an insight or an idea of what autism is all about, because when he was being diagnosed, we didn't know what autism meant and all that.
Well, I remember when he was first diagnosed, you thought it was a bad dream or it was a nightmare, and that what would happen is that you wake up in the morning and you hear him crying, and sort of whinging in a way, not really crying, and then you think, God, this isn't a dream, it's reality. It's not a nightmare, it's the truth. So it took a long time, hoping that, every day that he would snap out of it, and of course he didn't.
Well,
Do you adapt?
yeah.
It's all relative, really, isn't it?
My feelings were devastation. Oh, sorry, I was totally devastated. But then I kind of had to pull myself together. Think about Lewis.
Here I was caring for up to a 2.5-year-old, had all these plans of what he's going to be like, like any
All out the window.
parent. And then it was suddenly, well, actually, Aaron's got autism, and I had to then focus on his condition rather than him. And it's actually taken us a long time to just see through that.
For families, there's a huge stress. There's the stress in the run-up to diagnosis, because by that time most families and most parents will have some sense that there's something different about their child, but they don't know what it is. After diagnosis, a lot of people go through feelings equivalent to bereavement, that in a sense the child they thought they had has been taken away. And then you have what I've just described in terms of that just unknown, insecurity, no idea what the outcome, the future's going to be. And so it really is a very difficult time.
We then went through loads of weeks and months and years, really, of assessments, didn't we? And then individual therapy, speech therapy, psychotherapy, trying to find a specialist school, going to tribunal to get him into a specialist school. So, but now everything's kind of, we've adapted to a great extent.
Well, you have to, haven't you? There's a long history to it.
Help, there's something ties me up to a fence and switched on the lawnmower, and it's coming to get me.
When I'm upset and I'm thinking of something, I think of, to solve the problems, it's making the book and the film containing the dealing with the bully.
If helped to understand their condition, autistic children and young people can develop unique talents.
Love changes everything, how you live and how you die. Love can make the summer fly, or a night seem like a lifetime. Yes, love changes everything. Now I tremble at your name. Nothing in the world will ever be the same.
To help young people to thrive in a school, college, or work placement, simple but effective adjustments are made. To increase understanding and the ability to interact with their environment, the use of visual aids, sensory stimulation, communication support, and clear and consistent planning are important.
I think one of the things I just want to say is that we can't do anything without the help of parents. Whatever we do has to be done in conjunction and collaboration with parents. We do spend a lot of time and effort trying to develop a true partnership with parents, and I think that's really very important, and that's how pupils with autism make the most progress and how we can be most effective with them.
Planning for change, especially the transition into adult life, can be particularly stressful for everyone involved. Therefore, careful planning is crucial.
Well, here's the thing. Yep, so far I did 8 animations at the Alan Pullinger Centre, and I even did a book. Here it is, The Ostropic Evil Bully. Wally is one of them, Tyler is the other one, Maria's the only girl in the family, and Clyde is another boy. He is fantastic. He is so clever and he knows what to do to get away from Leo.
Suddenly, when he was 2.5 and we found out he was autistic, I felt that I no longer knew this child, Erin, as my child, because suddenly he has autism and I didn't really understand what autism was at that point. But now he's 18, I don't see him as a child or a young adult with autism. I just see him as Erin. And you know, Erin is a young boy and he's got his own personality, and we have adapted to how he is. And I know he's autistic because of all the services that we need to put in place to support him, and he doesn't behave appropriately in many situations. But as a child, he's our child, so he's Erin.
I did blame myself a little bit, but obviously as time went on, I learnt a bit more, and I thought, no, actually it happens in all different cultures, all over the world, to all different women and families, and nobody knows why.
Over the last 7 or 8 years, things have changed a lot. At a sort of big picture level, I think people are a lot more aware of autism. And I think that's true in this country, I think it's true around the world. And I think that has been a big help, just raising awareness of the condition. I think locally a lot of things have changed. There are more services available. I think there is a greater degree of training for people who are working with autistic children, and a greater degree of understanding, I think, of the stresses that it puts on families.
I get nervous and worried and anxious when I go on buses on my own, sometimes, or trains.
Social, educational and employment support are now more available as understanding of autism grows.
The running competition that we had in Cardiff in March 2010, I was running the 200 metres, which I normally do when we go to running events. I also go to Kid the Kids, which is a disability group I belong to. I go on Mondays and I do this course called DELSIM, which is based at the Irish Centre, which is Employment and Life Skills Project. In the mornings we do like individual work and I do maths, and then in the afternoons we do group work. As a group, like we've done hobby work and talking about hobbies and stuff, getting jobs, work experience, which is good.
Teachers in Enfield are keen to develop a greater understanding, particularly of the different ways children with autism learn and communicate.
We think in words, but for not all people with autism, but most of them are visual thinkers and learners, and they tend to think primarily in pictures rather than words. So they have to learn words almost like a second language. And Temple Grandin said, there she is, I think in pictures, not in language. Pictures are my first language and words are my second language. The course covers what the core areas of autism, to try to give people attending some understanding of what it might be like to be autistic, to give some staff some insight, not just into what autism is or might be, but how people with on the spectrum experience life in a busy mainstream setting. I think it's really important when the staff are in school working with these children that they have that understanding, not just of the condition, but how it impacts on children when they are at school, so that they can work with the children.
I'm the secretary and a coach with Special Olympics North London. We're an organisation that provides sporting training and competition for people with learning disabilities throughout the UK. Our group operates mainly in the borough of Enfield, but we have some members from Barnet and Haringey.
Well, it's the North London Special Olympics, and Peter and Rona DeMargo are coaches who coach us every week. And we come here every Sunday between 10 o'clock and 11:30. Normally in the winter we're indoors, and in the summer we're outdoors training. Yeah, it's good. Keeps you fit and healthy and motivated.
If I was going to talk to a parent now who had had a recent diagnosis, I think I would say, obviously you need to deal with your own feelings first, you know, take it all in, and then just go out and get all the help you can from all the professionals. It's there. Just do everything you can for your child, because they do help and it does work.
What I've found is that as Nicholas has grown up and as he has developed, I've wanted to follow him kind of on that journey. And I find it, you know, fascinating in one way to kind of watch that and see what I can learn from it. And actually I've learned as much from him, I think, as he has from me. You know, learning to, I don't know, enjoy the moment, not stress out too much about the future, believe that, you know, the future will come when it comes, a degree of acceptance. And I think those things have kind of kept me going.
If you can talk to people that have an autistic child, absolutely superb way of getting information and help, advice, reassurance even. Just try it, because at the end of the day, your concerns are for your child.
I think I'd like to say to anyone who's got a recently diagnosed child is that you're on a journey, and that journey will have ups and downs, but at the end of the day, what you have is a wonderful, beautiful child. And autistic children have some amazing talents and gifts to give the world. And I think it is possible to enjoy, just simply enjoy those children. And even when things get rough, and they will do, there are definitely downs to the journey. It certainly isn't a bright sort of sun-strewn path at all. But even in those downtimes, the children change, move on, and it is possible to celebrate those milestones. So when they talk, the first time they say your name, and you can celebrate those moments in the same way that you could celebrate them with any child. They may be different milestones, but you can still celebrate them.
Not all of us with autism are diagnosed at the same age. I'm John Simpson, and I was diagnosed at 16. My special interests are buses, trains, and football. The success I had at school academically masked the social and emotional problems that were developing. Now I understand my autism, I am able to work as a carer for others on the spectrum, and I have also started my own training business to help parents, carers, and teachers understand children and young people better.